AGCM. Shall we share a word of prayer? Father, we are grateful to you for this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to learn about aspects of our life that is also relevant to our lives. For your word says that there's a time for everything and a season for everything. Therefore, we thank you for such an opportunity to learn and think about how to prepare for our wedding, whether we are prepared now or not. But whatever it is, we know, oh God, that the Holy Spirit will remind us when the time comes so that we'll be able to do the right thing to your glory and honor. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. So planning your wedding. I want to thank my husband and the executives for the opportunity to present this evening's program on planning your wedding. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says that there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the sun. So, by all means, you get there. You will get there. And when the time comes, the Lord will give you the grace to be able to. Amen. Receive it, sister. Amen. But before we dive into planning the wedding is only an event, just a couple of hours. So I'd rather you plan for your marriage. That's the most important part of planning your wedding. Plan for your marriage. Choose your partner carefully, prayerfully, and wisely. It's more about the content than the container. Yes, the container, the Coca-Cola, the 6-packs and all that are good. But then what's the point in having the container when the contents are nothing to write home about? So you need to spend quality time and be comfortable. It is not a decision to please the society. It's not a decision. And also, before then, you have to also ensure that you start counseling before you consider dates for the wedding. Because things change. I've seen people who have gone through counseling and somewhere in the middle, the relationship had to end because they realized that they are not compatible. There were secrets that have been hidden that were only revealed during counseling by the counselor, and therefore they had to end the relationship. And when you get there, it's okay. A broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. It's important that you know this. Don't say that because you have started counseling, so then you have to go all the way. You don't necessarily have to go all the way. As a counselor, I've met with students who are married and they are going through hell, both male and female. And oftentimes when you ask, but didn't you see this when you were courting? Say, oh yes, I saw it. But then I remember there was one guy, he said a week to the wedding, they were having an argument. And then the lady slapped him. And I said, and you still continue with the wedding, and we were far advanced. Like, wow, you saw this, and now you're in the marriage, and she's beating you. Because of that vacation, you don't want to go home. You stay on campus because of that. So please. And therefore, often it's preferable that you wait till the end of counseling before you do anything, because anything can change. And as a young lady or a young man, as you are growing, you know the things that you need for your life, so you start buying them in bits. You see a saucepan, you buy, utensils, you buy, and all those things. You don't wait till the wedding is approaching before you start buying all those things. So when you buy it in bits, it helps you at the end of the day instead of waiting. Also, in planning your marriage, make sure you submit to medical checks. I think we have spoken about it here before. Check your sickle cell status with the lady Because this is not the time to say that we will pray it out of our body when we get married. At the end of the day, you are going to worry the children that you are going to have. And it's not helpful. So know your sickling status. Whether you're SS, you're AS, CS, or SC, or whatever, you have to know that. And also, you have to check for STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, because some of them are latent. You may not be able to see them. They may only have a negative effect when the time comes. So in some churches, they will ask you to do all these tests, RH, rhesus factor, the sickling tests, and other blood tests to be sure that everything is okay, so that you know how to handle it. Planning your wedding. Now let's look at the event itself. Proverbs 18 verse 3 says that commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Whatever you are going to do, you have to commit it to the Lord. The Lord is interested in every area of your life. Every area of your life. There are not too many married people here, but I bet you, even in sex, the Lord is interested in that. Yes, every area of your life. Yes, you can praise him even during the act. Yes, the Lord is interested in all the area. So you have to pray into the marriage, also pray into the event. For example, for good weather, for traveling mercies, because things happen. Things happen. Sometimes a day to the wedding and things are not going well. Somebody is sick. Somebody is not well. An accident here and there. So you have to pray, trusting that the Lord will keep you safe. You cover yourself with the blood of Jesus throughout the period. You also have to pray for the guests that will be coming, because some will be coming from far and near, that the Lord himself will protect them. So you have to pray into the marriage and pray into the event. Good weather, power supply, that everything will fall in place. Those who bring the food, there will be no food poisoning, because sometimes it happens. People come to your wedding and they go and you hear all kinds of things. Somebody has died because they came to eat some food in your wedding. It happens. So you need to pray about all these things. And daydream about the day. I'm sure some of you are thinking about how you want your wedding to be like. You know, when you attend somebody's wedding, and then as yours is approaching, you are daydreaming, thinking. So that's the time to brainstorm with your partner. Please, planning the wedding is not the preserve of the woman alone or the man. You have to do it together. At every step, you have to do it together. Think about the kind of wedding that you want. How do you want it? You have seen other people's weddings, and there are things you liked and things you did not like about it, and therefore that guides you to make a decision as to how to go about it. The next is to budget. Budget. Luke 14, verse 28 says that, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Sometimes when a couple is planning their wedding, you have, I'll help you and all that. Please don't hang your hopes on anybody who promises anything. If you have not seen the cash like this, please, because people get disappointed at the last minute. And sometimes things may come in and the person who promised something is not able to do it. So you have to get clear on the contributions from others, sit down with them, what they are willing to provide. But even that, just focus on the little that you have and use that in buying the major items, and let the ones who have promised the contribution do the minor things that if it does not even take place in the world, it will not really be a bother. Look at your savings. How much do you have? How much do you have? Because it's very, very important. You have to be realistic and take a look at your funding for your wedding. And budgeting can be very stressful when you have to deal with financial decisions. And you also have to start saving. You may have some savings, but then you have to start putting something away towards the wedding. And it all depends on the kind of wedding that you want to have. Some want to have a big wedding with a lot of guests. Some want to have a small wedding. And now there are different variants, the way weddings are done. Some want the white wedding. Others want to put everything into the traditional marriage. Have somebody come in so that they sign. It's also recognized. And the pastor comes to pray. And everything is done nicely. So don't look at other people. Don't think about pleasing society. Because society, no matter how you do it, people will talk about it. So do it the way you are comfortable with. If anybody in the family says that, no, you should do it this way, then they should pay for it. Yes. Because the worst thing you can do to yourself is to get into the marriage with debt. Don't ever go for a loan for a wedding event. Don't. It's a wrong start. Spend within your means. Avoid competition and using different couples' wedding as your standard. Even if it is your own sibling. They may have whatever they need to have, whatever kind of wedding they have. You also know your means. And like I said from the beginning, it's only an event. Yes, it's a special event that lasts just a couple of hours. So it's important that you prepare rather for the marriage than the big event. And do not budget with all your income, because you have to leave some for after the wedding, because some of you may be thinking, oh, the wedding gifts and the money and all that. Please, don't hang your hopes on that. People may come and eat and go without giving much. Ghana for more pesado. You go and eat and even when you go, you don't go alone. You bring your family members and all that. And some take away too. After, oh, please, can I get something small for the children at home? Hey. And also, you have to factor into your budget your honeymoon arrangement. That is if you intend to have a honeymoon. And honeymoon is not compulsory. It can be postponed. Later on, when you have enough money, you can just fly to Dubai and have a good honeymoon. The next thing is to confirm your desired wedding dates. And so give your time to spend at least 6 months in planning towards the wedding. Of course, some do it at a shorter time. Prof and I, we decided on the days, I think just a few months or weeks to, I think November or so, and then February we got married. But I'm not saying you should be like us. You have to plan ahead. You should have at least 3 tentative dates. And in deciding on the day, choose a day that you have the people that you want to be at the wedding will be available so that they can attend. And there are people too who decide that they don't want too many people around. So instead of a weekend, they'll do it in a weekday. So it's just a small number of people for the wedding. And some too choose certain seasons and special dates. For example, they can decide that it should be on the birthday of one of the couple, maybe the guy or the lady, or maybe a parent's birthday or parent's wedding anniversary. In my former church, one lady had her wedding on the day. In fact, that day was her father's birthday and the parents' wedding anniversary. So that's when she had her wedding too. So that when there's a time for celebration, you put everything together so that you don't have separate, Others do too also have it during the Christmas season so that you don't have to spend extra in celebrating the anniversaries. Already the Christmas things are there for you to use in celebrating it anyway. So people have different ways and reasons for doing that. They use special, some also choose Valentine's Day. I've attended a wedding on Valentine's Day before. So these are some of the ways in which people choose their wedding dates. And then pick your wedding party. That is if you are going to have a bridal party. I've attended a wedding where there was no maid of honor, there was no no bridal team, nothing. It's just a couple. Yes, I've attended one like that. And one with just the maid of honor and then the best man. That is all. And if you decide to choose a best man, tell him in advance. If Prof should tell you his experience. He had spoken to somebody already, and the person had agreed. Only a few days to the wedding, and the person said he can't do it. But then God being so good, there was somebody who was yearning to be his best man for a long time, so he just stepped in. And that day we really had fun. It was. So you have to decide who among you, your close friends and family, you want to be with you throughout your wedding. And choose wisely. Don't just choose anybody. Choose wisely and choose prayerfully. Choose prayerfully. And some of these people will be able to run some errands for you, help in some of the activities that you have to perform before, during, and after the wedding. Then build your guest list. Here you write down the names of all the people you would like to attend the wedding, even if they live across the world. There are some people who fly all the way from abroad to attend a wedding. So you have to consider all these people. And sometimes your parents will want some of their friends to come. You may not even know them. You may not even know their friends, but then your parents think it's also their day and they want some of their friends to come. And so create two categories of guests, category A and B. A is for the names of family and friends who you absolutely want or need to have at your wedding. And then the B is the extended family or friends and work colleagues that, well, if they don't really attend the wedding, it wouldn't be a big deal. And then as time goes on, you keep taking some out, adding some, and narrowing it down till you have the required number that you want. And sometimes it depends on the status of the couple. I've seen couples who are very wealthy and they just want something small. They don't want too many people, just 50 people, and they are okay. And they have a quality wedding, everybody's served fully, they have enough to eat, enough to drink. And I've seen people with very big weddings, and even there wasn't enough food for everybody to eat. So it all depends on your budget and how you want the wedding to be. Choose your wedding ceremony location. Yes, I know with that is a church. But then make sure the ceremony is close to the reception, because not all your guests have cars. I've attended a wedding somewhere in Legon and had to drive to Gampa for the reception. Those of you who know Legon and Gampa, I don't know why they had to do that. Or let's say you have the wedding at the South Campus, and then you go to Winneba Junction for the reception. not everybody has a car. So you have to be considerate and make sure that the reception is very close by. And in some churches, they allow the reception within the church auditorium. And that's okay. Others to have a lawn outside the church auditorium where you can have the reception. And then check whether the venue has a permit to celebrate the marriage at the premises. Because some venues do not have permission. They don't have the permit. And so if you have your wedding there, it is null and void. It is not recognized. So you have to make sure that wherever you are having your ceremony, whether it's in your church, your local church, or somewhere, because people like to have their wedding in different places, like the beach resorts, like a botanical garden, like at a hotel. Some want to have it in a church. But make sure all these places are registered and they have the permission to organize wedding ceremony. Otherwise, if you have your wedding there, it's beautiful and all that, but then your marriage did not take place, in quotes, according to the law. You are not married. So you need to be careful. Check all these things. Very, very important. The next is to decide on the wedding's theme, decor, and details. How do you want it? What colors do you want to use? And do not use too many colors. 3, 4 colors. That is too much. 2 colors is fine. And the colors must have meaning for you. What meaning do you attach to the colors? Don't just pick it because you went to a friend's wedding and it looked beautiful, so that is what you want. There must be a reason behind the colors that they chose. So you should also know the colors you are choosing and why you are choosing it. Because the colors will also have an influence on the dress for the maid of honor, the bridesmaid, your invitation cards, the wedding program, the wedding decor, everything, even the wedding cake. It's all factored in. So the colors influence, even the gifts, the souvenir and everything, the packaging and everything will bear the color. And even what the guest will wear. Because oftentimes when I have to attend a wedding, I ask the person who invited me, what are the colors? So that I can wear the right color to the wedding. Sometimes the men, you don't do too well. They tell you to wear beige and you come in pink. Wear burgundy and you come in red. Come in coffee brown and you come in cockroach brown. And then choose your wedding invitations. Your wedding invitations. Yes, now digital invitations are trending. Yes, you can do that for your peers, your friends. But for adults, you don't use the digital. Have a proper wedding invitation card and send it to them. Don't use the digital. You are going to get married and then you send a digital invitation to Prof. Yeah, I know Prof is laid back, but some adults will not take kindly to it. They will feel disrespected. So have a proper wedding invitation card and go and give it to them. Or ask somebody to send it to them. And you can even create one yourself. If you go online, you see different designs, and then with a graphic designer, you can choose which style you want, and you just have to insert your name there. Then research your vendors, those who provide different things for the wedding, like the musician for the ceremony. Thank God for us, we have church, and therefore maybe the music group in your church, the choir, for instance, may feature for you. Some too want to hire a band to play at their wedding. Also the DJ for the band at the reception, the photographer, And we know that digital, with our cameras, we're able to take pictures. But then because it's a special event, you may have somebody who can take really good pictures. Because it's for memories. And also, thankfully, with our friends taking pictures, sometimes they can bring us the nice pictures. They send us the nice pictures that they took. Because there have been occasions in which, during those days that we were using the film. I don't know how many of you came to meet the film. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, a lot of you never came to meet the Kodak camera where you take and then you take it to a laboratory and it's printed out. A couple had a wedding, and then when the photographer went to print, there was nothing in the print. So that day they did not have wedding photos. Somebody would say, yeah, no. They did not have wedding photos. But thank God, in our time now, we have digital photos, and people have cameras on their phones, so at least you can have a backup if your main photographer does a bad job. And then you need a videographer too, somebody who will take the videos. And then the catering service, your hair and makeup, the florist, the one who will prepare your bouquet, or you can buy a bouquet. And then the officiant, the one who will officiate the wedding. And it's okay to decide that somebody else should officiate and not your pastor in the church. And one of the things that I found in AG Church, the pastor wants to do everything. I don't know why you do that. And then they leave. So let's say the couple, one comes from another church, and then the other from AG. The AG pastors take everything, and they ignore the other couple. Why do they do that? Is it that you cannot negotiate? You should be able to talk to them. Oh, I want the man's pastor to do the preaching, and then you do the exchange of vows. There should be division of labor or something. But then the AG pastor does everything from the beginning to the end. And some even at the reception, they want to be MC. How boring. You should be able to negotiate with your pastor what you want him to do and what you want for the beauty of the whole thing. So there will be different people who bring in their own specialization into it instead of making one person do everything. And so again, when you are researching for the vendors, you need to keep in mind your budgets. And you can also ask around for recommendations for people who have gotten married. How did they do? Who did they use? Can they recommend somebody, maybe a videographer, a photographer? It depends on how much you want to spend in the different areas. There are people who want to spend more on the food than other areas. Others want to spend more on the decor and not on the food. So you have to decide based on your income. And when it comes to the guests, you have to look at the number of guests, the meal options, and also have to confirm those who will be doing the catering, whether they are going to add water to it, or you have to provide your water separately and your drink separately. It all comes in the cost. Sometimes you may have friends who decide, okay, we'll buy the water for you. So they can bring the packs of water so you don't have to buy. But others will say they'll do the drinks, they'll do the sobolo and all the other things and add up to. You don't think you can use sobolo for your wedding? Yeah, you can. And then find a cake maker. Find a cake maker. Your caterers may be able to recommend a good cake maker for your big day. But it's always good to find the cake maker that suits you and your preferences. And remember, it's not about what everybody wants, it's about what you want. I've attended a wedding where there was no cake. And this was a medical doctor and a chartered accountant. The lady's mother is a chartered accountant. The guy's father is a chartered accountant. The guy's mother is a university lecturer. But I don't know the lady's father status. They did not have. The guy said he doesn't know the meaning of wedding cake, so they did not have a wedding cake. In fact, their traditional marriage, there was no engagement ring. So their wedding was just a wedding band. And that's what the lady wore. But although they were dusted, they could afford everything. So it's not about what society wants, but it's about how you want it. I mean, after the wedding, I think 2 years later, they left the country. They are in Canada now. The guy is into ministry work. He's a medical doctor. He stopped medicine, practicing medicine. Now he's into ministry in Canada, supported by the wife. They have 3 children now. So it's all, you shouldn't look at what others have done and choose. Can you see yours truly there? And plan for the decorations. It includes the flowers, the lights, the table arrangements, the food displays, and everything else that will add to the visual aesthetic of the venue. So, and like I said, it depends on your budgets. You don't necessarily have to do this to please people. Our wedding, well, the church where we did was already beautiful, so we didn't have decor in the church auditorium, but then we had decor at the reception grounds. So it all depends on you. You don't have to do it like everybody. Now the video coverage and pictures. Beware of mercenary photographers who will come later with pictures for you to pay. So they'll come, oh, I took these pictures at your wedding, pay for it, please. You must have your own photographer. When they can say, no, I had a photographer and I'm not paying for anything extra. And with the photographer, be specific with the number of pictures and possibly important scenes. He must take pictures. Let them know the important scenes. Again, coming to the photography, one of the things that I detest whenever I attend a wedding is during the exchange of vows, and there are so many people standing in front, and the rest of the congregation, we can't see anything. For me, it's so bad. So I remember when we were praying for our wedding, I told our pastor that he should tell the congregation, nobody should move beyond a certain line. Only the designated photographer was supposed to come close. So for our wedding, there was this stage, that's where we stood, and everybody stood beyond. So nobody could cross any line and come and take photos there. So that everybody who came can witness what we were doing. And to not be the preserve of only the few who are coming stand there with their cameras and taking the pictures. And it was decent. I remember a lot of people spoke about, they liked the way everything was conducted. It wasn't haphazard where you have so many people all over taking pictures. I don't know why people do that. Because you are not being considerate of the other guests who came to witness the ceremony. And then figure out what you wear. Figure out what you wear. What do you plan to wear? I look back and I'm wondering, was it necessary for me to buy the wedding gown? Because it's hanging in my wardrobe. I wore it for only a few hours. And that is it. And it was so expensive. So you wear it. So, in fact, a lot of brides later say that don't spend too much on your gown. If it's possible, get somebody to sew a really nice gown that they can make alterations so that you can wear it later. Because you buy a very expensive gown and at the end of the day, you wear it for just 2 or 3 hours. At the end of the day, it's just hanging there and it cannot be used. You can also rent. You can rent and it's nicely done. They've laundered it nicely and you don't even know that somebody has worn before. But you know Ghanaians. But if you want to sew, you can get some very nice lace fabric and to be nicely done for you. But then if you still want to buy a gown, you can buy it. During our time, almost 10 years ago, it was going between 500 Ghana cedis and then 2,000 cedis for a gown. And today I know it will be more than that. Do you want to spend that much on a gown and wear it for a few hours and then you won't wear it again? Or you can go for a gown that they can make alterations so that you can wear it later on. And it doesn't have to be a bit more traditional, add some kente here and there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pure white gown. You can wear anything that you want. It's your day. You decide how you want it. Any color you want and all that. It's your day. And then if you are going to use a bridal team, you also have to plan the attire. Are you going to spend money on their clothing? Is it worth it? Of course, there are some people who volunteer to pay for their own dress. My maid of honor paid for her own dress. She told me she would take care of it. So for her makeup, her nails, her clothing and everything, she took care of it. And in fact, I didn't do my nails. I didn't do my hair. Well, I did makeup, but my hair was very long, so they just used it in fixing it. I didn't do any eyelashes. I didn't, no. And I didn't do my nails. I remember the night before, I just drove to a very nice beauty parlor. They did a manicure and pedicure and painted my nails just as it is. And that was what I used for my wedding. So I'm not saying you should do it like I did, but these are some of the way I cut some costs. And it still looked beautiful. And you can hire a host or get some of your friends to be the MC. Because the MC is supposed to coordinate the activities of the events. Right from the beginning, your entrance to the grounds, the food, the champagne popping and everything. And this person must have a good idea of who you are. The person must know you very well. And then plan for your transportation. Transportation from home to the ceremony and back, as well as transportation for your bridal party if you are using one. Transportation, going. Transportation for you, the photographer, because sometimes the photographer or the videographer rather will have to follow you from your house all the way to the church. So they need another car where they'll sit and then they'll be videoing you all the way to the church ground. So, and you don't necessarily have to go for a car rental. You can ask your friends around, an uncle, a friend, hey Prof, leave Prof's car alone. And they can give you a car for these rounds and picking the bridal team back and forth. I remember for us, a friend gave us his car, and then the second car was my maid of honor's car, and so. Where was my own? My parents used that one. I got someone who used to drive my parents to the ground. Yeah. So you're supposed to send your invitations at least 1 month to the wedding day. At least 1 month to the wedding day. Make sure you write their names in them. Don't send a blank invitation card. And if it's a married couple, you can send one. But if it's not a couple, then you can send single invitation cards. And don't forget, even the bridal team, you have to officially give them. The fact that they are part of your program does not mean that they should not be giving invitation card. Then get your marriage license. Yes, you need a license to marry in Ghana. It is governed by the Marriages Act, Cap 127, and it's the only strictly monogamous legal means of marriage in Ghana. So if you are intending to get married, you are required to give notice to the marriage registrar in the district where the marriage is going to occur. And the registrar will then publish a notice of marriage and then issue a certificate after 21 days if there's no objection, if nobody comes to say that they are married to you. And so the marriage certificate is then presented to the licensed marriage officer or the pastor, after which the couple must get married within 3 months. If you don't get married within 3 months, then you have to start the process all over again. And now I went online, I realized that there's even online registration. You don't necessarily have to walk there to the district office, but you can do it online. Then plan the before and after events, the bachelor parties and the bridal showers. You have to plan that one. And then the Thanksgiving dinner, which is only for family members, not for everybody. And then also plan the honeymoon, book your hotel. Depending. And if you are flying out, don't forget your passports. Make sure you pack everything before you get to the airport and you cannot fly because you left your passports in Winneba and you are in Kotoka International Airport. And your flight is in an hour's time. Okada will bring your passports. And create a timeline for the wedding day. So if you have a wedding planner, or one of your friends can be a wedding planner for you, coordinating activities and all that. Or if you can afford to pay a wedding planner to do that. So they have to, they need to confirm the timeline of the entire event. And you need to give the information to everyone. I mean, imagine the wedding reception is about to begin and the caterer is not in. The drinks are not in. And people are sitting and waiting. Or it's time for the cutting of the cake and the cake is not there. So you have to give everybody the time in which they should be there. So that nothing, the whole situation is not messed up. And then the gift table and souvenirs. It's important that you get trusted people to man the table because people steal. They will steal your money. So tell them, when people bring envelopes, they should write their names behind the envelopes and the amount. And they must have a book where they'll write the names of the donors and the amount or the gifts that they brought. Sometimes they label their gifts and so they have to label or write the label they have given in the book. Let them know that you want. And it's good if you have about 2 people you can trust so that nobody steals your item because people steal. They steal the monies especially. And tell them that you need the information so that you can call the people to thank them. Once they know that you are going to be calling, then if they steal, you'll be alerted. So you have to find a way of, and also you must have souvenirs to give. And it doesn't have to be very expensive. Key holders are fine. It depends on your pocket and all that. And then you can also have envelopes at the gift table so that people who come in and they don't have envelopes, they can put their money in and present it. Then choose your wedding rings. Choose your wedding rings. And buy affordable rings. Nobody is going to scan your ring and say, hey, where did you buy it? From Makola or from PMMC? You know. It's interesting. When I was reading around, I realized that in certain parts of the world, the woman buys the man's ring and the man buys the woman's ring. I don't know how you got it twisted. And the man buys everything. Now the final week, go to the beauty salon. The men go and get your hair cleanly shaven, your beard, everything. If you want to get your eyebrows done, go and get it. Get a manicure and pedicure. The men too, you can go for a manicure and a pedicure. You can go for a massage, the two of you. And then this is the time, a new boxer, yes. And then this is and then this is the time for you to fit your dress. Because sometimes you may have put on a little more weight, or you may have lost some weight so that it can fit you nicely. And then also for the ladies, practice wearing your shoes to feel comfortable, because you don't want to wear the new shoes on the day and then you'll be having blisters and you cannot walk properly. So learn to walk with your shoes at home when you're in the house so that you get comfortable with it. If it's too high, you know how to walk in your heels so that you don't trip and fall at the wedding grounds. So learn how to walk in your high heels when you're at home so that you get comfortable with it before the wedding day. And then shave nicely if you haven't done so in a while. The ladies, you know the areas that you have to shave nicely. Nice. Because you are going to use it in a few hours' time. So it has to look good. And then practice. And the men too, you have to shave nicely. Or trim it nicely. Because you don't want a bushy something and then. And practice smiling. That's something we forget. Practice how you pose in the bed and how you smile. In fact, I look at some of my wedding pictures and I don't like the way I smiled. Yes. Smiling with all your gums showing and all that. It doesn't look cute. So look in the mirror and see how you smile when you have to take the pictures. So once you get used to practicing, when it comes to the picture taking, it comes naturally for you. Yeah. And there are cases in which couples write their own vows. Practice saying the vows. That's how you can make your wedding unique. As long as your AG pastor is saying, no, you have to say the vows according to what is in the book. But then you can also decide that you want to say your own vows. And it's allowed. And then for the men, plan what to say for the response to the toast during the reception. You can decide. For Prof and I, both of us did it. He didn't say how he made me and all that. He was thanking the Lord. You know him, thanking the Lord for everything and blah, 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 blah. But me, I said it. I said it how one thing led to the other and all that. And, so. He said I was saying he was giving a vote of thanks and praising the Lord. Thanking the Lord for major professor. And the wedding day. In fact, a few days to the wedding, you should know what your tummy takes and what you cannot take. You don't want to be at the wedding and you're having a running stomach. Yes. And so, on the wedding day, eat well, because you may be sitting for a long time before the reception. And then drink less water to avoid wanting to visit the bathroom during the ceremony to urinate. Because the only time you may visit the bathroom is when the wedding has ended and you have taken your pictures and you're going to the reception. Then you may sneak in to use the bathroom. But you cannot sneak out during the ceremony. And ladies, wear a sanitary pad even if you are not in your periods. It's very important. Because anything can happen. And you may soil your white wedding gown. And so wear a sanitary pad. And you can have your maid of honor have your purse with your phone, money for offering, and other accessories. And then for the ladies, you put your engagement ring on your right ring finger because you are going to need the left ring finger for the wedding band. And so after the vows, you can remove it and put it there. Yeah, don't leave the engagement ring at home or somewhere. You may forget because of the activities. So it's important that you still keep it on yourself. So after the vows, you just remove it and then place it there. And again, never show up late for the wedding. It's annoying. People are sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and you think it's your day. Ask Prof, the time they gave us, we're there. Exactly. 9, and we're there. Within a few hours, the ceremony was over. Why do you keep people waiting? For what? It is rude. It's rude. And I know your mothers and those who are, hey, it's your day, so you have to take your time. No, it's impolite. Christina, yes, sir. Don't waste people's time. You have to be on time. Don't leave your guests waiting at the reception after the ceremony. If you have to take some exclusive pictures, wait after your guests. After the reception, you can always go and take the exclusive pictures. And have fun. Have fun during the wedding. Do not stress. Enjoy it. It's your day, so enjoy yourself. You don't have to be stiff and rigid and all that. You want to watch everything. After the wedding. After the wedding, go through the book that was placed at the gift table where the names were written, and call all those who gave you a gift and thank them. Don't take it for granted. This is not the time for you to be sending text messages. Call them. Call them and thank them. And after your honeymoon, go to the officiants, the pastor, the chairman of your reception, and all those who played a significant role, and thank them. Go to their homes or their offices. Don't call them to thank them. Because they spend their time to come and grace your occasion. This presentation is not exhaustive, but then it at least gives you a fair idea of some of the things that goes into planning a wedding. And you do not necessarily have to follow this guide word by word, but it's a good reference for you so that you don't feel overwhelmed when you are planning your wedding. Thank you.
Amen. So we'll take a few questions and then.
Two.
Thank you very much. Mommy, please, I want to ask this question. It's a little something that is happening, and then it's kind of a debate. I want to ask if God still chooses spouse. The reason why I'm asking
again, I didn't hear that point.
If God still chooses spouse.
God
still choose spouse.
Spouse.
Yes, please. The reason why I'm asking is because I encounter people and talk to them, and then the kind of things they tell me, some of them tell me that God spoke to them about their wives and husbands, and then they are happily married. So I want to ask if it still happens. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't think God chooses spouse, but then he's a good matchmaker. He may bring somebody your way, and if you pray about it and you're at peace with it, because you don't have only one person that can marry you. I don't believe so. There are so many people you can be married to. But then when you pray about it and there's somebody and the person comes into your life and you're at peace with it, that is fine. Because God can bring you somebody, but then if your attitude and your behavior is not good, that good person may become a monster in your life. So whilst you are looking for Mr. Right, you should also be Miss Right. Be a right person too, and vice versa.
Please, thank you for the message. Please, I wanted to know the importance.
Oh, there's a lot of noise.
Please, I wanted to know the importance of cutting a wedding cake. The importance.
The importance of cutting. It's like it's become a convention. People cut wedding cakes and then they tell a story around it. You know, talking about the ingredients in the cake, how it comes together. But in fact, the mistake I made was I did not read the history of cutting of cakes and why we do that. But I'm sure we can all go and read about it. Why do people cut cakes during the wedding? Yes. But then, like I said, some people don't. They don't even cut a cake or anything. Yeah, during the wedding cake. So it's up to your own style, how you want it. Yes. And most of these are foreign ideas that we have inculcated into our culture. Yes, there's another.
Okay. Thank you, Mommy. Please, I want to know if it's appropriate not to decide not to share food at your wedding. Maybe for you to cut costs.
Oh, hold on. You want to answer it? Come again. Whether it's appropriate not to share food.
To decide not to share food. Maybe.
Auntie Jacqueline, do you want to say something about it? Please.
Thank you so much, Mommy. I attended a wedding in Kumasi, and I learned it has been the custom of the members of the church that they have all agreed that on the wedding day, it's only the visitors, those who come far away, that will be served. That, even that one, they send them to a specific place to serve them. But for the members of the church, no. They just, even the water, as you go out, you pick it yourself and then you go.
You go.
The reason being that most people, because of the food aspect, most people, they can't marry because it's becoming too much for them. And we know the society in which we find ourselves, you might think that you don't want to copy what people are doing. But the way the whole thing will be after the wedding, the talk and other things, then the person also decides that she or he must do something. Yet, it will create a whole lot of problem for them. So if it is they have agreed upon it to do it, and then as Mommy was saying, you can decide not to invite many people. So
Exactly.
if you think you don't want to serve, food, then the invitation should be limited. Other than that, it will be compulsory to serve them. Oh, please, I also had this thing before.
Okay.
Now, what I've seen is that the two will plan whatever they want to plan. But getting closer to the time, both parents mount certain kinds of pressure.
Yeah.
And sometimes it becomes unbearable.
Yeah.
So I think before you even start to plan, both of you need to talk to your parents about how you want to go. Before even the 6 months that Mommy said you can give yourself for the planning, you discuss with them how you want to do the whole thing. So that when it is getting to time, they will not give you pressure. You have already settled them. You have already given them their positions in it. If they are going to do it even for you, they will know where to stand, what they are bringing in, what the other person too is bringing in, before it comes to the planning of the two of you. Because we have met a whole lot of these things. We have to come in and settle. Before even the day before the engagement, you'll be settling disputes between the two parents and other things. So,
yeah. And some parents, because some of them, they didn't have a wedding. So the thing is the opportunity to have the wedding they did not have in their children. But then it's your day. It's your day. This wedding that I went to cut the cake, I was talking to the lady, and she said that a week to the engagement, the husband-to-be's mother said that she doesn't like the kente they are going to use, so she has bought new kente for them to use. And she was saying, "Oh, thank you, but we have decided on it already, and this is what we are wearing." And I like her for that, because now she has set the boundaries for her mother-in-law not to interfere too much in their marriage. But if she had given in, then this mother-in-law will always be interfering with their marriage, deciding, do this, don't do this. So I was so happy that she set the boundary that, no, we have decided this is what we are wearing, and we can't wear yours. And that settled it. So you have to talk to your parents about it. Some parents, like I'm saying, they didn't have a wedding, or they didn't like how their wedding was. So they want to have their wedding in your wedding. And then they put pressure on you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mom, for the presentation. Please, I have 3 questions.
Yeah.
The first question is, Mom, should we start the planning at the time you've met the person or you've started the relationship, or the planning should be started right now? And the second question has to do with the kissing that goes on during the wedding. Does it have any implication attached to it, like a spiritual backing or something like that? And the last question has to do with Mommy. Mommy, my last question is it mostly people go too far to, let's say, rent a different apartment or a hotel or book a hotel for their honeymoon? So I want to ask, is it important? Maybe you have your room already, you have everything ready. Is it important to still go out? Thank you, Mommy.
As I said from the beginning, it's your wedding. The two of you must agree on how you want it based on your income. The issue of buying the things and all that, you're a young man. There are basic things that you need. You don't necessarily have to wait till the actual, when you have met somebody, but you know the basic things that you need. It is when you have gone through the counseling, you have made a decision, okay, this is the person that I'll marry. You've gone for the list. Then this is where you are buying the specific things that are needed for the marriage ceremony. And then as for the kissing, I don't think there's any spiritual significance. It's assumed that, well, we are now husband and wife and kissing and all that. Prof and I did not kiss in public. we didn't do that. We just hugged, but others want to kiss, and that's okay. It's a foreign culture, and people have adopted into their ceremonies. And then the honeymoon. Honeymoon is not compulsory. Honeymoon is not compulsory. If you don't, and it should be an agreement between the two of you. That's why you have to be open about your finances. Whether you can go to, and even if you have to go to a hotel, you don't have to stay for 5 days or 1 week. 2 or 3 days, and you're out of the place, and you're back. And you can have a budget hotel that is reasonably priced, just for the two of you to spend time alone together before the real marriage begins. Yeah. Yes. There's somebody there.
Mommy, thanks for the insight. I want to ask concerning the number of people you want to attend the wedding. Yes. Sometimes you estimate a very large number and there is a low turnout. Other times you estimate a very small number and a whole lot of people come. How are you able to ensure that the number of people you want to come?
Again, it depends on the day, the occasions. So when it's a holiday, people have a lot of engagements. They have, maybe it's Christmas time, they are visiting family there. So when you put around that time, you may have a low turnout. Again, when you send the time you send your invites, when you send it maybe a month ahead, you should remind them. And that will help you. There are times so that you did not plan for that many. In fact, with Prof and I had to restrict my students. I told them, no, you can't attend the wedding because they're not, even with that, we had over 500 people attending our wedding. But thankfully, we had a buffet, so everybody had something to eat, and people were excited about it, So it depends on the season that you put maybe you think, Christmas should be fine. But then Christmas, there are a lot of weddings, engagements, and all that. So you have to look at the season, the timing, the occasions, and know when to put your wedding. And then when you send the invites, you can call and remind people, send reminders to them so that they'll remember the day.
Please, I want to ask, maybe a day or two to your wedding, you realize there's an attitude on the side of your partner. You know that
if you see the attitude till the day of...
Yeah, and if as you said that the woman slapped the man. And if you proceed with this wedding, probably there's going to be challenges or problems. But it's like 2 days or a day to the wedding. How do you handle such an incident?
Prof, will you want to answer that? Or Auntie Jacqueline, will you answer that? Please, Silas, give the mic to Auntie Jacqueline.
Mommy, in fact, that one is not easy. But I think there should be, if there can be engagement to be talking, if that issue is not so much that it can be just trashed, people come in and then talk about it, fine. But I'm saying that if it is not an issue that people can just come in, engage them and talk about it, that's fine. But if it is something that is going to affect the marriage itself, let's say 2 days to the time, and then they bring a baby somewhere that the guy has already given birth to somebody somewhere, that you, the lady, you are not aware of it. So if they sit on it and think they realize that maybe he has already settled the lady confirms that he has already been settled, but you are not aware, that one, a little bit consideration can be there. But if it is something that is going to, I think most of the things can be put down when reconsideration is being done. But since the food has not been prepared, the date can be rescheduled. The invitation, still, it can be redone, it can be rescheduled. It's only the food that maybe cannot be. But since it is not prepared, announcements and other things can be done. Yeah. Since mommy said that a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage.
Well, the cost of divorce is higher than the food that will go bad if the wedding does not come off. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know you are looking at the cost, the wastage and all that, but then compare it to the challenges you go through in the marriage.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Yeah.
Please, I want to ask about the ladies' dress. Is there any significance with regards to the white dress they normally wear? Because I had an instance when my cousin was so obsessed with some particular color. She traveled out and she bought the gown. She saw it. It was very nice for her. She bought it 2 years to the wedding. She came and the mommy said, no, it has to be white. So they have to get another color which is white. But she bought that already. So that was waste. So I want to ask, is there any...
Nobody has a right to decide what you wear. You can wear red, black, green, blue, your jeans, or whatever. Nobody has a right to decide what you want to wear. You can wear any color. You can even wear your jeans, tuck in nicely, and it's still a wedding. The Osofu Mami had no right to tell her what she should wear or not to wear. Don't let anybody dictate to you what to wear or not to wear on your wedding day. No.
Yes. Thank you, Mommy. Please, there's this question I've always wanted to ask. When you find a man, he's not an Assemblies of God member, but you are an Assemblies of God member, and when planning your marriage, you wouldn't want to go you wouldn't want to attend his church after marriage. But he insists that when you get married, you should attend his church. What do you do about that? And then I want to know the difference between blessing and wedding. Thank you.
I think it's become a convention that when, the right thing is for the two of you to attend the same church so that you can bring up your children. Because you don't want a situation where you are attending one church and then the man is also attending another church. Where would the children go and all that? And it's become a convention that when you are married, you join the man in his church. That is why sometimes you have to look at where the man is coming from, the church. For me, long before I even decided to get married, I knew there were some so-called Christian organizations that I decided that I would never want to marry anybody in. Because I'm a woman, and once you are married to the man, you want you to follow him to church. And so I decided, because I had a problem with their doctrines. And so for me, when you are my friend, and I realized that you are trying to make some moves. I said, so last Sunday, where did you go to church? Then when you mention your church, and I know it's in the category of the churches I don't want to marry into, I will not even allow my heart to fall in love with you. Yes, no matter what. Because for me, spirituality was very important to me when I was planning to get married. My prayer has always been that I want a man who is spiritually higher than I am. Because for men, it's difficult for women to pull them up when they are spiritually lower than you. So I prefer a man who is spiritually higher than I am, and then he will help me along. And that is what I got. Was there a second question? What was it, please? It escaped me.
Please, the difference between blessing and wedding.
Wedding is normally when, couple going through the processes and all that, getting married. But then blessing, probably they have lived together for a while, had their children, and they want to bless their marriage. At least that is what I know, unless there's an alternative view. Prof, do you want? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also a convention. You know, people get married when they are not believers. Then they come to church, they realize that, oh, there's a need for them to subject their marriage, maybe, or commit their marriage to the Lord. So that's where this idea of blessing comes in. So we are unbelievers. We have lived our lives for some years. We have had children. But we have not committed our marriage into the hands of the Lord. So we say, let's go for the blessing. You understand? So it's just a convention, yes. But blessing is blessing. So I hope you understand the two concepts. Yes. So one is fresh. The pimpa, pom, pom, pimpa, we say is wedding. But when we talk about blessing, then what comes to our mind is, they have lived their lives. They have children. Sometimes they are even old men and old women, and they want the blessing of the Lord.
Thank you very much. Please, there is this question that most of the youths normally ask. That's premarital sex and then the consummation, sex after marriage and then sex before marriage. Which one is best good for people?
Are you talking about Christian youth or just the youth?
Christian youth.
Because Christian youth, you know what the Bible says about premarital sex. It is fornication. For Christian youth, you are not supposed to engage in premarital sex. Because it brings its own challenges and its own problems. The Bible frowns on it. But then you should also know that after the wedding, when there's no consummation for 72 hours, it is not marriage. Yes. After wedding, after 72 hours, if there's no sex, maybe the man is impotent and he hid it. There's no sex. And there's no marriage. It is not a marriage. It is the consummation that makes it a marriage. This is a legal thing. It's a consummation that makes it a marriage. So that is not for better, for worse. Because then the man lied to you. He knew he was impotent. And yet, he went ahead with the wedding. We've had cases like that. Because the men, you know when you are impotent or you are not. Because every morning you are reminded that you are potent. Every morning you get a reminder.
Okay.
Yes, Auntie Jacqueline. Okay.
Mommy, my question is about the vow. I witness a lot of weddings and the vows are the same. But I always tell myself that I have to choose my vow for them. So here lies the case. The pastor may say that this is what you have been doing. It tends to be doctrinal. What do you have to do about that?
And you have to discuss with the pastor. Because it has to be your style. For example, for ours, we didn't have our own vows. But then we told the pastor when he's saying, he shouldn't say the vows into the mic. He has to say it outside the mic. And we were the ones who were repeating it. For it to look as if we are the ones saying it without being prompted. But you can also write your vows, discuss with the pastor what you want to do and how you want to do it. Yes. You should have your own style as to how you want to. Because it's your day. It has to be unique. It has to be the way you want it. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Mom.
mupe wedding oh. How are you, mother, papa? Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mom, for the subject that you've addressed today.
Yes.
My question is, you are choosing a partner for life.
Yes.
And as we all gathered here, we are coming from families. And Ghana, everything is about culture. We are living in a family where sometimes the partner that you want to choose for your life, your parents will like to decide, will like to choose.
I'm not stopping you, okay? Are we talking about planning a wedding or choosing a life partner?
My question is linked because you can't have you can't plan a wedding without having a partner. So,
because I'm assuming that with what I presented, everything has been settled. Parents have agreed that it's okay to marry this person, and so then you are planning the wedding.
okay.
But now you're asking about choosing a life partner.
Okay.
Well, you bring the question. Let's see.
So please, in that aspect, because it has happened in our families where I'm coming from consistently. So I want to know, using this as an opportunity, that if in case you are choosing somebody for your life to plan a wedding and these things with, are you supposed to listen to the family or are you supposed to listen to yourself?
You see, I give the example of when I was thinking about getting married, I already had in my mind certain churches I wouldn't want to marry into. Because I know that once I marry in that church, I'm more or less obliged to attend a church with a man. You know your family. You know the various tribes that they will not allow you to marry to. Why even bother yourself in the first place and fall in love with somebody in that tribe? Is that person the only one you can marry? Because sometimes it's so hard to convince parents. Then becomes a challenge. You as a Christian, you don't see anything wrong. This person is good and all that. But you know what your family will reject. Why will you even put your head into it and bring all these challenges on your head? And all this stress. I hope you are getting me. So once you know that your parents will not allow you, don't even go there. There are other people in other tribes that is allowed. Even I know amongst even certain ethnic groups, like the Ewas, for instance, we have the Tong, the Bedouin, the Anglos. The Anglos do not want to marry the Bedouin and all those things. So you know that you're an Anglo. Your parents will not allow you to marry a Bedouin, although the language is similar. So why will you even fall in love with a Bedouin lady or gentleman? Why don't you look within or other tribes which they will allow? Don't stress. Don't put so much stress on yourself. Sometimes some of you look at some physical things, but is it what you are going to marry or the inner beauty that you are going to get married to? For me, this is my take on it. In my family, I knew the way my mother is. I knew there are some tribes she didn't want, so I always veered myself away from it. Because I don't want any hula balloons, and I told you I don't want this. I mean, for me, I knew that's not a Christian way of doing things. But our parents have had some experiences. There's a proverb, I don't know whether it's in the Akan or the Ewe language. What an old woman will see sitting, even if you stand on a tree, you will not see. So some of these things.
Ma'am, please, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, please.
I can't hear you, please.
In the course of the wedding.
How many minutes do we have, please? Yeah.
Ma'am, in the process of the wedding, even though the two families accept that you should marry, but you, the lady, your family find out that the man, there's a problem that they don't think you can get married to this man.
Do they tell you the problem? And what do you think about the problem too?
So this, as Christians, we know that the Bible told us, as children, we pay our mother and father so that our days will be long on earth. So in this case, are you to accept your parents, or you follow the boy and ignore your parents.
Auntie Jacqueline, will you want to come in? Please, we have 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes. Auntie Jacqueline, I thought you were.
It's something when I raised my hand, it's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Come to point that we think that our parents don't matter because we can pray, because we have the word. So certain things we don't want to even talk about it to them. But as we grow and we get there, some of the things begin to discuss it. When you hear somebody's own story, come and ask your parents and see. Talk about it and see whether she has also got something like that in the mind. So as we continue asking them questions and other things, some of these things will come up. They will tell you they don't like this tribe, that one. Some of them too, they tell us, and then we think that we are breaking it in Jesus' name. And then it gets there. So we should, to avoid those things, in fact, we should be conversing with them. I remember a guy wanted to marry a lady, and the mother said no. They fought. It was later on that they realized that lady's father wanted to rape the woman, the guy married mother. So when it came critical, the woman he didn't want to say it, but she had to bring it out for them to. So we should be talking with them. And then another advice I want to give, planning a wedding, the wedding dresses that sometimes we go for. Sometimes some are so something that, please, we are Christians. Friends will tell you it is your day. This one is only one day. You need to do that. So you also go for something that as you bow down, then the whole thing is. We have heard a story of somebody, the pastor, as soon as he called them for the vows, he said they should bring a cloth from behind to cover her hair before they sing the vows. So they use a different cloth to cover her. Now, your pictures, you cannot even look at them later. So let's do things moderately in a Christian way. Then another advice, I wanted to make it a question, but let me make it advice. Let's say you marry, and mommy said, this is my first time of hearing it. 3 days it's happening. And if it is impotency, then the marriage can end. But the person is so spiritual that as soon as it's like things are getting closer, they say, hey, sister, let's pray. You see, we have to pray. We have to pray. More than 3 days. So if it is like that, please, you have to come out. I have heard a story that it continued like that. And then more than 3 months, now the lady couldn't contain it again. He had to bring it out, and then he was insisting he gets a divorce. But if he had brought it out to the pastor or he can't take it to the parents. But at least the pastor and then other people who you trust are there. If he had, they would have told the man that this has nothing to do with prayers.
And ladies, you have to be observant during the courtship. Sometimes you can tell if the man is impotent or he's not. Yes, because a man who loves you, anytime he sees you, he gets an erection. And you can tell. You can tell that his trousers is full. You can tell that his trousers is full. And sometimes you are sitting together, you are laughing, then you intentionally let your hand brush there. If it gets up, you will see. You will see. You will notice. So stop being naive. I'm not saying you should go and have premarital sex, but you should have your own way of investigating some of these things. Because the men, they know. So that brings us to the end of this session. It has been an interesting session. I didn't even know you'd be this interested in this topic. So maybe there'll be a part 2 next semester so that we talk about it. And then okay, the last one, then we get out of here.
Mommy, please, I want to ask something. Like a guy and a lady, they are dating for some time and they plan for getting married. So they went to the pastor and they told the pastor about how they want to get the married. So the pastor said that the date that they are fixed for the marriage, he is not in agreement with it.
Did he give a reason why he doesn't agree to it?
Like, you have other activities doing, so we can't be able to do it on the set date. So fortunately and unfortunately, the lady got pregnant. So the pastor said that because she has already gotten pregnant, they will allow her to give birth. Then after giving birth, during the outdooring the naming ceremony, they will do the engagement on the same day. So after giving birth, the pastor came in, did the outdooring without the engagement. Meanwhile, the people, those that are planning to get married,
please, can we have some silence?
That they still want the pastor to bless the marriage for them, but the pastor said no. And according to him, he said that he will punish them for not getting married before giving birth. So he will leave them for some time or ending of this year for the punishment to be done before they will get married. So the two of the parents, they are confused. So they are planning to go and see another pastor to bless the marriage. So I want to know that is it a right thing to do? Because this thing is happening at Assemblies of God Church.
So they are being punished for having premarital sex and having a baby before being properly married. So the punishment is for how many months? And is this something that is sanctioned in the Assemblies of God Church? That you have to punish? Okay, so they knew and they still went ahead and did that. They knew. Although I don't know where this falls biblically. I don't know why they are doing that. But then why, every church has its own rules. So you knew the rules and you still broke the rules. So then why don't they wait and finish the punishment and then they will get the marriage done?
Okay.
But they can do the traditional marriage without the pastor. They can do the traditional marriage without the pastor. And then after that, they can go and do the church blessing or whatever. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I didn't know there was such a rule in the Assemblies of God Church. Okay.
Hallelujah. You want to appreciate Mama for the great work she has done.